Hoy, el barbero de las estrellas, Joseph Gonzáles. Y nada más y nada menos que Dee Snider de Twisted Sister. Amigos, bienvenidos a otra edición de Con Stockwell, La Vida es un Don. Hoy tenemos un programa muy especial que para mí es un tema que creo que es muy importante. Y es el miedo y cómo enfrentar a los retos de la vida. Los invitados de hoy aportan un poquito de cada de esos cuentos de superación que han logrado en la vida. Esto va a sonar muy extraño, pero los que me conocen saben esta parte de mí. Yo creo mucho en la magia de la vida. Creo mucho en dragones. Ahora, ¿qué son los dragones? Los dragones son los retos o los miedos principales que cada uno tenemos en nuestras vidas. Esa magia interna, esa luz que tenemos para enfrentar esos miedos y atacar y matar a esos dragones es lo que nos da un propósito en la vida. Mire, un cuento muy personal, y los que acuerdan cuando me tiré a la pista de baile en Dancing with the Stars, para mí era un reto muy personal porque obviamente bailarín no soy. Pero el enfrentar ese miedo de estar en vivo en frente de millones de costarricenses para enfrentar un baile, un reto que nunca había hecho en mi vida porque no soy bailarín, fue para mí muy importante hacerlo para mostrar que yo podría tomar ese paso. Y el primer día del programa me tocaba salir a bailar y me acuerdo que estaba sentado atrás y no quería salir. Estaba totalmente congelado. Se me había olvidado todos los ensayos que había hecho con Angie. Se me había olvidado todos los pasos que tenía que hacer. Y le dije a producción, retiro, me renuncio, no puedo salir en vivo. No recuerdo nada que tengo que hacer. El miedo me estaba venciendo. Y vino un gran amigo, vino Ángel Rafael, el maquillista, y literalmente me pegó en la cara. Me dice, Don, acuérdese quién sos. Vos sos Don Stockwell, vos sos empresario, nada te da miedo. Me tiré, fui a la pista de baile y el segundo que estaba ahí me relajé y dije, esto hay que disfrutarlo, esto no hay que tenerle miedo. Y recordé todos los pasos y no sé si bailé bien o mal, pero bailé. Enfrenté el reto de tomar ese paso, de hacer lo que había planeado hacer. Y eso yo creo que es muy importante. Todos tenemos planes en la vida. Todos nos amanecemos o nos acostamos haciendo cosas, ideas, deseos de lo que queremos hacer con el día, lo que queremos hacer con nuestra vida. Pero muchos ahí se frenan, muchos ahí paran, no logran vencer su dragón, no logran usar su magia para tomar el paso de hacerlo. Y te prometo, amigos, el 90% van a fracasar. Pero los que conocen el éxito, conocen el fracaso. Si alguien exitoso en esta vida no ha fracasado, te prometo que nunca ha sido exitoso. Los más exitosos de la vida han tenido un sinnúmero de fracasos, pero no lo ven así. Ven como retos que trataron de enfrentar que no salió bien, pero por lo menos tomaron el paso de hacerlo. Mire, hoy tenemos a dos personas. Uno es un barbero joven emprendedor que tomó el paso de salir del trabajo que tenía para montar su propio negocio con su novia y crear una cadena de barberías en el país que yo te prometo era un reto enorme para él y elevó a su industria a otro nivel. Tenemos un rockero icónico del mundo, Dee Snider de Twisted Sister, y cuando ustedes oyen sus cuentos de superación, lo que él tuvo que hacer para llegar a donde estaba y llegar al éxito, cada uno era reto, era tomarse ese segundo, internalizar sus pensamientos y decidir, me voy a lanzar para llegar al próximo paso. Si hay algo que yo quiero que la gente que comparte conmigo este programa, que también es un reto. Yo no soy presentador, nunca he sido una persona de estar enfrente de las cámaras. Siempre he sido productor detrás de las cámaras. Esto era un reto esto para mí me dio mucho miedo, pero decidí hacerlo con un gran equipo de trabajo. Y si es exitoso o si es un fracaso, ¿sabe qué? Siempre será una experiencia lindísima en mi vida. Y eso es lo que hay que hacer con todo. Hay que decidir tomar ese paso. Hay que decidir enfrentar sus miedos. Hay que decidir tomar el reto y vencer a su dragón. Usar a su magia, usar a su vida y usar tus deseos para lograr todo lo que quieren en esta vida. Porque muchachos, la vida es muy corta. Si están en un trabajo que no les gusta, renuncian. Buscan un trabajo que les gusta. Hagan un negocio, emprendan algo. No deja que tus miedos te vencen. No deja que tu falta de tener la visión de cumplir lo que quieren te vencen. Se pueden vencer esos dragones. En esta época que estamos viviendo, todos tenemos que reinventarnos. Costa Rica está pasando por un reto diferente, por muchos problemas económicos, sociales, que nunca ha vivido el país debido a un montón de situaciones. Y es nuestra responsabilidad. Cada uno tenemos que traer positivismo a nuestro país. Cada uno tenemos que hacer retos nuevos para ayudar a la comunidad, para ayudar a nuestra sociedad, para volver a tener ese optimismo y ese paz y ese núcleo familiar que define lo que es Costa Rica. Entonces, amigos, enfrentemos a nuestros miedos, buscamos la forma de traer positivismo al país y buscamos la forma de matar a nuestros dragones. Y vamos a tener un programa súper especial, 2 personas que estimo muchísimo y espero que les guste en esta edición de Con Stockwell, La vida es un don. Amigos, en Con Stockwell, La vida es un don. Siempre es un honor tener emprendedores, gente que ha llevado a otro nivel diferentes estilos y diferentes negocios en su carrera o su género. Hoy tengo conmigo Joseph Gonzáles de Gents. Y es una persona que admiro mucho como empresario, como persona, y ha elevado lo que es ser barbero en este país literalmente a un nivel extraordinario. A mí me encanta porque va muy bien en lo que queremos hablar hoy, de vencer los miedos, de levantar lo que es la autoestima. Y como nuestro invitado de lujo es Dee Snider, con el pelo más famoso del mundo, qué mejor de tener un experto en pelo y de look y de barba aquí con nosotros hoy. Conmigo, un honor presentarles Joseph Gonzáles de Gent. ¿Qué pasó, mi hermano?
¿Qué hubo? ¿Cómo vamos? Bueno, un gusto estar aquí con usted, compartiendo un poco de lo que es esto de la barbería, todo lo que viene siendo cuidados para caballeros, tanto en cabello como barba, que ahora se está usando mucho, ¿verdad? Y venimos cambiando y revolucionando todo lo que es barbería acá en Costa Rica.
Joseph, a mí, para el público mío, yo creo que es importante ver lo más allá de simplemente lo que es lo estético, de cambiarse el pelo, de cambiarse la barba. Yo creo que es sumamente importante, y lo hemos hablado,
Total.
el cambio psicológico. Cuando uno entra a la barbería y se siente desarreglado, se siente feo. Antes era como tabú que los hombres se arreglaran, y ahora yo veo Gents y todas las barberías del país lleno de hombres buscando esa comodidad y esa experiencia de barbero.
Exacto, sí, porque digamos, esto se volvió ya una experiencia, ya la barbería es totalmente diferente a lo que era antes. Llegar y ver a una persona que, bueno, viene 2, 3 meses o 22 días sin arreglarse, entrar, darle su experiencia, que se pueda tomar su cervecita, su fresquito, que se le ponga una mascarilla, que se le haga la barba, se le retoque, después de hacer todo ese proceso con toallas calientes, etcétera. Digamos, a nosotros como barberos nos llena mucho ver esa persona ya cuando se levanta de la silla y dice, wow, o sea, es otra persona, salen totalmente con otra actitud, van con buenas vibras, dicen, mae, o sea, desde que llegué, mi día después de que me corté el cabello, es totalmente diferente, mi día ha sido excelente.
Así es.
Entonces, cambia.
Cambias como bien dijiste, ese chineo personal que dan a los hombres que entran ahora es una experiencia completamente diferente.
Sí.
Y yo entro y veo tus clientes que entran y veo los hombres que entran y toda esa experiencia que normalmente hubiéramos asociado con mujeres entrando a salones, ahora los hombres lo pueden recibir y sentirse bien y cambiar esa negatividad que uno tendría en el día para salir con una autoconfianza elevada.
Exacto, total, digamos, ha sido un tabú, por tanto, digamos, ahora la barbería, como te digo, ha cambiado y, digamos, es muy satisfactorio saber que, o sea, a la persona le cambia la vida, o sea, tan solo un pequeño arreglo en su cabello, o sea, no es que cambia solo su imagen, cambia su actitud, la persona se empodera total. Va al trabajo y va con muchas ganas, se mira al espejo y está feliz, no sé, sale a caminar y se siente seguro, entonces eso es muy chiva y cambia ese tabú de que antes eran solo los salones, ahora hay barbería y los hombres, ¿por qué no? También se pueden cuidar ahora, ¿verdad?
Lo hablé en el monólogo porque estamos hablando de tomar riesgos, de vencer los miedos.
Exacto.
Y vos has elevado a gents, porque lo que mi público va a ver ahora en el video, hace un par de semanas o como un mes o algo, fuiste a un evento que a mí me pareció una producción completa de corte de pelo, pero lo basaron en un show para el público y estaba repleto.
Exacto.
Y ganaron
Exacto,
todos los premios, ¿no?
Exacto, bueno, eso fue el año pasado, en noviembre, la primera edición de Premios Barber Gold que se hizo acá en Costa Rica, un evento que solo se había hecho en Estados Unidos, pero con su nombre, ¿verdad?, respectivo, y bueno, se decidió hacerlo en Costa Rica, y fue un evento muy chiva, nos organizamos bastante bien para representar tanto el equipo como la barbería en sí a nosotros, y exponernos y que la gente vea que en Costa Rica también hay talento y que los hombres se pueden cuidar, ¿verdad? Entonces, ahí sí trajimos como el reconocimiento al mejor corte de cabello del año y también salimos como el mejor barbero New School del año, entonces fue muy chido, una experiencia muy linda y lo van a ver en las imágenes porque sí estuvo muy bueno ese evento.
Yo te admiro porque eso es lo que quiero recalcar. Levantarse en la mañana y planear algo es muy diferente de levantarse en la mañana, planear algo y ejecutarlo.
Total.
Tomar ese paso para enfrentar el reto y el miedo de llevar a los barberos de Costa Rica para que vuelvan al país con el premio del mejor corte, es una cosa que en el mundo de Joseph es lo más importante en el género que está haciendo. Lo podemos aplicar a todo lo que hacemos en la vida. Exacto. Y eso inclusive en los cambios de look. Yo le he hablado a Joseph a veces que quiero cambiarme el color del pelo, que quiero hacerme la barba, que quiero cortarme la barba. Y ya no tenemos que tener esos miedos. Lo que nos hace sentir cómodos, lo que nos hace feliz es lo que tenemos que hacer. Nada me haría más feliz de tener el pelo de Joseph. No me sale. Entonces él hace lo imposible conmigo. Y me imagino, hermano, que entran muchos clientes tuyos y te piden algo, pero tienen temor de hacerlo.
Exacto, sí, digamos, hay como una barrera entre la comodidad, lo que quiero y cómo me gustaría verme. Entonces es ahí donde nosotros como barberos, o yo como barbero me encargo de decirle a la persona y me dice, Joseph, quiero este corte, pero es que no sé si me luce, no sé si me voy a ver bien. Y yo, bueno, bro, hagamos algo. Yo te voy a hacer el corte, déjamelo a mí. Si usted me da la posibilidad de que eso es algo que me gusta, yo les digo, me da la posibilidad de yo hacerlo, yo sé lo que se le va a ver bien, yo sé la estructura de su cabeza, yo la estudio, yo la veo, yo sé cómo voy a yo acoplar ese corte de cabello a su imagen y cómo se va reflejado en su día a día. Entonces dice, bueno, ok, dele. Y donde empiezo yo con la máquina dice, ay, uy, Dios mío. Y le digo, tranquilo, espérese al final. Y terminamos y dice, lo tenía que hacer. O sea, lo tenía que hacer. Dice, no sé por qué me da miedo. Y yo, se te ve bien.
Es tomar ese salto.
Exacto. Es tomar ese riesgo, dar ese paso al más allá, a ver qué se puede, porque a veces tenemos que salir de esa zona de confort en la que nos metemos, que nos pasa mucho a todos, tanto a vos como a mí. Llegamos siempre a una zona de confort y nos da miedo saber qué hay más allá, y es como dar ese paso, ese extra.
Mire, salir de nuestra zona de confort, salir de enfrentar nuestros miedos siempre es un paso difícil. De pura casualidad, en el programa de hoy tenemos uno de los pelos más famosos del mundo, que es Dee Snider de Twisted Sister. Entonces te pregunto, si Dee Snider entra a Jens y se sienta en su silla y dice, haga conmigo lo que quiera, ¿qué le dirías a Dee Snider?
Estaría muy bueno, o sea, estaría muy bueno. Le diría que lo cortamos o bien corto, o me lo dejas a mis manos, o querés mantenerte en la zona de confort, le diría.
No,
a ver con qué sale.
Él, y vas a ver en la entrevista, es una
Claro.
persona que ha tomado y ha enfrentado tantos miedos y
No,
tantos
total.
retos en la vida. Yo creo que él contigo lo dejaría en sus manos, pero ¿qué harías?
Uf. Habrían dos cortes, digamos, no, ya le tendría dos cortes. Ya le tendría dos cortes.
Así como el mío.
Por
No.
ahí anda, pero habría uno que sería corto, como el suyo, tal vez un poquito más largo a los laterales y así, y habría otro que sería un poco más como un medio largo que se está usando mucho, está súper de moda y en tendencia, entonces le tendría dos opciones y yo, bueno, tenemos Dee Snider, tenemos esta que es la número 1, que es como Stockwell, por ahí, o tenemos esta opción 2.
Yo creo que es un miedo que él nunca va a querer enfrentar, tener el pelo como Don Stockwell. Joseph, te admiro, te
Gracias,
felicito lo que has hecho en tu industria y por Costa Rica y el nivel de confianza. Mire, no lo digo porque es amigo mío, no lo digo porque es mi barbero, pero yo creo que donde entramos a cualquier barbero de confianza y amistad, sentimos que nos cambia el día y Joseph es una persona que trae ese nivel de positivismo al país, nos ayuda a enfrentar los retos, nos ayuda a enfrentar nuestros miedos. Es una persona que contribuye con su granito de arena todos los días para que nos hacemos sentir mejor y que Costa Rica se levanta poco a poco. Y emprendedores como él, que han tomado el riesgo, que han enfrentado su miedo, es lo que necesitamos en este país. Entonces, Joseph, te felicito, hermano.
Don, un gusto como siempre, hermano. Y no, ahí estamos para servirle a todos. Siempre es bueno aportar un poco. Las experiencias creo que cambian la vida y marcan a una persona. Y bueno, tenemos un lema que el estilo no es una forma de decir, el estilo es una forma de decir quién eres, ¿verdad? Exacto. Entonces, tomen esos riesgos y vamos con todo, ¿verdad?
Amén, hermano. Muchísimas gracias. Vinimos pronto con Dee Snider. Ahora sí, amigos, llegó la entrevista que yo estaba esperando. Mire, yo me pongo emocionado cuando veo a mis ídolos de los 80s y uno de ellos, el rock, grandes, leyenda, es Dee Snider de Twisted Sister y hoy está conmigo aquí en Con Stockwell, la vida es un don. Entonces arrancamos directo con Dee.
Dee, what an honor. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're in Belize with your family, and I just want to thank you from everyone here in Costa Rica. Thank you for taking the time to be with me a little bit and talk about your incredible career, your music, your new single, your casino. And I want to tell you, for me personally, I've had the pleasure of doing a lot of shows in Costa Rica with Ozzy, with Steven Tyler, with Megadeth, but you have always been one of my biggest icons, and this is a very special moment for me, brother.
Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. And we're practically neighbors. I'm just on the other side of Central America over here in Belize.
I know. Have you ever been to Costa Rica?
I have not. My wife has been there a number of times, and she said Costa Rica is very similar to Belize, except you're on the Pacific Ocean side and we're on the Caribbean side. So, but they said there's a lot of very similar countries. She says, beautiful.
Well, we have both sides. We have the Caribbean and the Pacific. We have both coasts.
Well, now I'm jealous. I just heard about the surfing. I heard about all the good surfing in Costa Rica.
Well, you got to come down, brother. I mean, we'd love to have you here, and it's a pity that we've always loved metal in Costa Rica, and when before Twisted Sister disbanded, not having you in Twisted Sister is one of the sore spots in Costa Rica that you never got down here. So our goal is to get you down here on a solo.
Well, maybe that'll happen. It would be great. There were many countries that Twisted never got to visit, and it's regrettable. But you know, sometimes life doesn't work exactly the way you want it.
Amen. How are you holding up with the quarantine in Belize, and you and your family are safe, and how have you dealt with this being stuck at home?
Well, it's just my wife and myself down here. Our kids are all grown and they're in the States. You know, Belize is one of 13 countries in the world that is COVID free. Yeah, no, 6 weeks. It's been over 6 weeks now without one case or one death. But they're
Wow.
very, very strict. Mandatory masks, $5,000 fine if you don't wear your mask, jail for the second offense, 8 o'clock curfew, military police on the streets arresting people if you're out past 8 o'clock. So they shut all the borders. So they're being very careful, and we now have no COVID at all. But we're under very strict quarantine, you know. But you know, I live on the beach and I'm not complaining. Life is good as far as that goes, you know. Yeah, but here it's kind of weird. People are gonna think I'm psychic, but I am not. Before last summer, I told my managers that I wanted to take off from touring in 2020, and I didn't book any shows. Now everybody took off. And I said it, and they said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to spend time writing, focusing on my writing. And that's all I do now is sit under my palapa writing all day long. So I got my wish. Unfortunately, the whole world got my wish too. But we also said, let's film the tour from last year, the shows, and let's put out a live album for 2020. And that's what's coming out now for the Love of Metal Live, July 31st.
That's coming out on July 31st, your CD and DVD as well.
Yes.
And you also had a Prove Me Wrong just came out, or is it coming out?
Prove Me Wrong was released a couple of weeks ago. You know, the record company said, how about, you know, they're always trying to put extras, give little bonuses, something, to make people more interested. And how about a new song? So Charlie Belmore and myself, went in and wrote Prove Me Wrong, which is very much, I've really embraced real metal. I've always been a true metalhead, but Twisted Sister was a hybrid band. It was a mix of the glitter rock of the 70s and the metal of the 70s as well. And as a songwriter, I combine both. But now for a solo, I'm very much, just into just thrashing. So Prove Me Wrong is very heavy, and I hope people like it.
I had the chance that your manager sent it to me this morning, and dude, I love it. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Your career as a songwriter, your career as a composer. I mean, where do you see the industry going now? Are we going to get back to touring in 2020 at all for anyone, or you see this going until 2021?
You know what? I mean, look, it's such a difficult question because we have our hopes and our dreams, and we pray and we think, pretty soon it'll be over. It'll be over pretty soon, but it doesn't look like that. Not without some kind of vaccination. And the idea, and one of my managers, he handles Foreigner as well, and he said, we're doing a social distancing tour. And I said, what's that? He said, well, we're only going to sell a third of the theater. So every 3 rows will have people and it'll be spaced, and we're going to play acoustic. And I said, that's not rock and roll. That's folk music.
Yeah.
Rock and roll is shoulder to shoulder, the bodies next to each other, joining, singing in one voice. I'm getting a chill. That moment where everybody is united and connected. We can't do that with it being so far apart. So I think we have to wait truly until this thing is settled and people don't have any concerns. We can get back in there in the pit and sing Huevos con siete all together. Huevos con siete. Everybody now. Okay. I know.
You jumped on one of my questions. You sort of moved up. I was going to ask you to do that. Now that you've done it, the interview's over. I can phone. Brother, I agree with you. I think that it's important for the experience. I mean, every rock concert I've done here, the whole magic of it is singing together, screaming together, being together, and trying to social distance or doing, drive up concerts for rock. I can't wrap my head around. I'd rather wait to get the essence of it done.
Agreed. I can't, that's not what rock is to me as a fan or as a performer. And I think, it's going to be a tough year for everybody. We just have to be patient. I don't want to go and do it half-assed. I want to go back to rocking the way God intended us to rock. So it's going to be, it's going to suck this year, but I think next year we'll get a vaccination. We'll get back to rock and roll the way it was supposed to be done.
Amen. You're saying Huevos con Aceite. What was it like when you were, I think it was in Chile the first time you actually heard that version of We're Not Going to Take It? What, for you, how did it feel?
Well, it was very funny because Eddie Ojeda, my guitar player, he's Puerto Rican and Spanish. So he speaks Spanish fluently. So he told me that in any Spanish-speaking country all over the world, they have their own words, that misunderstanding, and huevos con aceite, y limón. And so he told me about it, and I said, really? I said, all right. So the first time, and I think it was Chile, we went out there, and the audience was, We're Not Going to Take It. At the end, I said, I hear you have your own words for this song. And Eddie translates. And I see like thousands of faces going, like, he knows. And I go, huevos con aceite. And everybody starts like embarrassed. Thousands of people like, ooh, like this. Like they were embarrassed that Dee knew, like, and I said, let's sing huevos con aceite. And the place went crazy. And so now anytime I'm in any Spanish-speaking country, I don't think we could leave without doing huevos con aceite at one point. And our final show ever for Twisted Sister was in Mexico. And we did the entire song as huevos con aceite. And the whole song is huevos con aceite for the last time. And it was in Mexico City.
Oh, dude, that's amazing. That's amazing. Dee, I got a question here from friends in Cartago, and I didn't know this. They're saying that, the hair and the makeup of Twisted Sister was so iconic back in the 80s. But I didn't know that it was your wife, Suzette, that was actually the designer of all this.
Suzette and I have been together for 44 years now since I met her. She was a pretty young girl when I met her. It was actually kind of illegal back then, but it's okay now. We're married. Anyway, hey, rock and roll. And she, as it turned out, was an aspiring hairdresser, makeup artist, and clothing designer. She was going to school. She went to Fashion Institute for clothing design. So here she meets this guy who's got a lot of hair and wants to wear makeup and is dressing up in women's clothing. So she starts guiding me and teaching me and showing me and pushing me to try things. And in the very beginning, the makeup was very simple and not very feminine. And Suzette kept going, why don't you put on, try some lipstick? And I go, I'm not putting on lipstick. I'm not gay. I'm not putting on lipstick. She goes, just a little lip gloss. So she put a little like clear. I'm like, all right, lip gloss, okay. And then slowly it got darker and darker and darker until I had just red lips on. And the same with the nail polish. She said, why don't you put some nail polish? I'm not wearing nail polish. I'm not gay. She goes, just black. Put on black. And black turned to purple, turned to blue, turned to red, turned to pink. And for my whole career, I had pink fingernails. So, yes, and a couple of blonde streaks in my dark brown hair. Just a couple of streaks. All of a sudden, I'm solid blonde. So she very much helped the band. Even the Bone logo. She drew the Bone logo for Twisted Sister. That's Suzette's.
I didn't know that. Incredibly cool.
Very much the woman behind the man in every way.
Well, dude, that's one of the things that I've always admired about you, that your focus has been the career and the music, family. You were never into the drugs, never into the drinking, never, it sort of, you were able to maintain that rock and roll, metal image and strength, but always focused on the music while maintaining that inspiration to us, like family and values. Dude, I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you, man. And first, I just want to comment on all the beautiful hearts that are streaming up on this, and the metal horns or messages. I see them all. I'm sorry I can't answer you all individually, but thank you for those. You know, at one point in my career in rock and roll, because I was very vocal always, I didn't try to hide that I was smart. I didn't try to hide that I didn't drink or do drugs. I didn't try to hide that I was married, and I had one woman in my life, and and believe me, if there was more, you'd already know about it on Facebook and YouTube. There's no secrets anymore. There's no secrets. But there was a point where some people were questioning that was I really a rocker, because I wasn't getting high and I wasn't partying with everybody else. And that was hurtful to me, because I always thought rock and roll was about being an individual, being your own person. And that's what I always sing about. And I'm always telling people, stand up for yourself, stand up for your beliefs. So there was a time where I was a bit rejected by the community for being what they call straight. But I believe that, it's because I've stuck to my guns that I've had an ongoing career in radio, in television, in movies, in writing, and I do voiceover. I do, many, many things. And it's because I was true to myself, and I just stayed the way I knew I was supposed to be.
Well, you stuck around. I mean, I saw it today in the New York Post. They had a lovely article about your career in voiceover, which is amazing, from video games to cartoons to movies. I mean, you've been an actor, you've been on The Celebrity Apprentice, you've been an inspiration to new metal, trash, and rock bands forever. In Costa Rica, we've had Black Sabbath, we've had Judas Priest, Whitesnake, Megadeth, Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses. Like I said, we never had Twisted Sister. For you, what has been your coolest collaboration? Who have you worked with that said, damn, it was really, for me as Dee Snider, who was it really cool to work with in the industry?
Well, I mean, number one, with a bullet, above and beyond anything else, Alice Cooper. Alice is is my hero, one of my biggest influences, and to have, when Twisted started to break, Alice was coming out of a very dark time. He had a major drug problem, alcohol problem in the 70s, and his popularity was non-existent. He hadn't been touring in the 80s. But I don't care about things like that. I care, if you're my hero forever. So
Amen.
I spoke openly, publicly, constantly about Alice Cooper, Alice Cooper, Alice Cooper. And one day I get a dozen black roses sent to my dressing room from Alice Cooper. And I am just, and he wants to meet me. And we met, we connected, we became friends. Eventually, we did a duet on a song called Be Cruel to Your School on the Come Out and Play album. And I got to shoot a video with him on it. And one of my greatest moments of my life, I remember Alice is just coming back, or trying to come back from he was actually addicted to crack. And he just sobered up, he was clean and sober. And I'm putting my makeup on for the video shoot, and Alice comes in and he goes, should I put on the mascara? The whiplash? And I looked at him as a fan. I said, yes, because he hadn't been wearing it in years. Yes, of course, put it on. And for the first time in many years, he put on the classic Alice Cooper makeup for a video shoot. I'm getting chills again. It was one of the great moments of my life. Yeah, and we're still friends. And what an honor to be friends with a hero.
Well, dude, that is one of them, I'm sure, is a million memories that you have and you've brought to everything, dude. I mean, people know you as a rock legend, but people also have to know, and it's another question we're getting from a place in Palmares here in Costa Rica, and I didn't know this either. You're an accomplished songwriter, but you actually wrote a Christmas song for Celine Dion.
Well, let's be accurate. I wrote the song for my wife. Suzette, in the late 80s, asked me to write her a Christmas song, and I told her, I said, what are you, crazy? I'm a headbanger. I don't write Christmas songs. I mean, I love Christmas, but I said, I write metal. She goes, and this is what she said, exact words, you're a classically trained countertenor, which I was. She said, you can do it. So I said, and then I was working on some songs. It was after Twisted. some solo stuff, and all of a sudden an idea popped in my head. It wasn't a metal song, it was a Christmas song. And I had to hire people. I couldn't even sing it. I hired session musicians, recorded it, and I gave it to my wife as a present for Christmas. The end. 5 years later, I get a call from the engineer who was working the session for me. He says, "Are you sitting down?" He's now a producer. And I said, "Yeah, what's going on?" And I was at a very low point with my career, 90s, 94, somewhere around there. And he said, "Celine Dion wants to record your wife's Christmas song." And my jaw drops. He had played it for her. And I said, "Does she know who wrote it?" And he said, "I didn't tell her yet." I said, "Do not tell her Satan wrote her Christmas song." I said, because I was broke then. I said, "Just put it on the damn album." And that song is called God Bless Us Everyone. It's called The Magic of Christmas, God Bless Us Everyone. That record is the biggest selling holiday album in history. It sold like 15 million copies, called These Are Special Times. And interestingly enough, first of all, it's bought our house, okay? And it's the only song I never wrote to be released. And it's probably one day will make me more money than any song I ever wrote. And this year, Tarja Turunen, I get her name wrong, from Nightwish. You know Tarja from Nightwish?
Yes.
Okay. She and I are releasing a duet on that song. We're doing a rock version. Jeff Pilson, from formerly of Dokken, now with Foreigner, is producing. And Tarja and I are doing our own version that's going to come out this year, The Magic of Christmas.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome, brother.
Yes.
Yeah, I got an email from your manager, and I didn't know this. You're also working on a casino that's based out of Costa Rica that Costa Ricans can play on, from Dee Snider?
Well, it's just come out, and boy, I wish I knew the exact. I'm sure that you just put Twisted Sister. It's an online game. That maybe one of you guys can look up the website.
I'll post it on here. It's betwarrior.com. When the interview goes to the different press, I'll have it on the line, but inviting everyone to be there as part of betwarrior.com.
Yeah, and they approached us. This company does really metal, also called Metal Casino. They do really cool, music-driven, band-oriented online games. And I saw one they did with Sabaton, and it was amazing, incorporating the songs and the images, the band members, the music. And people play these games all the time, so why not enjoy music and images that you connect with as a metalhead? So they said, what about a Twisted Sister one? So they put one together. It's inspired by the We're Not Gonna Take It, I Wanna Rock videos. They even went back and got Mark Metcalf, the guy who played the Angry Dad. They got him. He recorded new voice cues for the game. Yes, so he's yelling at you while you're playing the game, listening to Twisted Sister, and it's so much fun. And not everybody's into gambling, and obviously it's for people who do. But I gamble, but fun gambling. There's people of course, sadly, there's people who have addictions like anything. Most of us just drink for enjoyment. Sadly, some people drink too much. Gambling's like that as well. So if you like Twisted, if you like metal, if you like rock, and want some fun, interesting images while you're playing those games online, check out the new Twisted Sister one. It just came out yesterday, I think. It was yesterday. Yeah,
I'll be posting it so everyone in Costa Rica can get to it. We'll post it on all the sites, and I think it's a very cool thing. I mean, I like to play like you for fun, and if I can listen to Twisted Sister while doing it, dude, all the better.
Exactly.
Dude, you've been on the radio for decades. I mean, and headbangers, and quite frankly, to me, you were the one that made MTV what MTV was by bringing metal to MTV back in the day with the headbangers and everything.
Well, thank you for appreciating that. Yeah, I created the show when MTV decided they were going to cut back on metal, and I called them up in 84, 85, and I said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "Well, we think that it's too much metal." I like, "Well, how about give us our own show?" So we started Heavy Metal Mania and did that for 18 months. And when I left, they changed the name, but they kept it going as Headbangers Ball, the show that many people know went on for decades. But yeah, I was very, thank you for acknowledging. I love metal. It's the most important music to me. It changes your life, you know, and I love try to bring it to people and encourage it also. I'm a big supporter of young bands, new bands. I'm always talking about the new bands because I love the old music, but there's not enough light being shined on the great talent that's out there today. And there are some of my peers who say things like, "Oh, rock and roll's dead," and you know it is, and that's not fair. It's because maybe we're past the prime now but there is our young artists, talented young people out there, and it's our job to lift them up and encourage them, not tell them give up and don't try, which I've heard some people say.
Amen. I mean, and I agree with you. I think that there's a lot of up and coming talent. I'm a classic guy. I love the greats, but I've seen, especially when these bands come to Costa Rican tour, they bring these bands as part of the show to open, and there's a lot of talent there, Dee. There's some great talent out there that are being supported by classic guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, their heart is purely in the right place because look, when I started, I wanted to be a rich, famous rock star. And the truth is, that's the order. I wanted to be rich, I wanted to be famous, and I liked loved rock and roll, and I could sing, so I'll do it by being a rock star. But now, these kids are out there, they don't expect to get rich. They don't expect to get famous. They're doing it just because they love it, and they have to rock. And when I go to these shows and I see these bands, the heart, I'm so inspired by them. I get so much from them because it's so genuine. It's no ulterior motive. They're only there because they love rock and roll. You gotta support that.
Amen. You made some statements on the radio show, and I know you're very good friends with Angus and Malcolm from AC/DC. And I know 2020 was going to be the year AC/DC came back with the new album and hopefully a tour. And if we get them to Costa Rica, you better come with them. If you're not going to be opening for them, you're going to be hosting the concert in Costa Rica. I promise you this. I'll pay whatever it is. But
love it.
What happened to the album? Is it going to come out? What knowledge do you have of this going on with Angus and Malcolm and AC/DC?
Well, apparently, I was actually hanging out with Brian and Johnson, and he said some things to me like, "Oh," and I'm an AC/DC fan. First and foremost, they changed the way I rock too, and I started talking about it, and also the press go, "Dee Snider said this." Dee Snider's like, "Oh, I didn't know it was a secret," and but what they're doing is so phenomenal. You uniting the living four members of the band, plus working with music that Malcolm created before he died. So this, and they've replaced him with Stevie Young. Stevie Young has stood in for Malcolm in the past when Malcolm was in rehab, Malcolm was sick. Stevie Young has stood in. He's one of the young family. So it's as pure of AC/DC as you can get. And they've been in the studio, and but I mean, like everything else, and I think wisely, they've delayed things. Now I don't know when they're going to release the album. I'm hoping it's sometime this year, because we could certainly listen to the music for a while and then wait for the tour next year. But I think that you're going to see. Well, I know you're going to see AC/DC back as close to the original as possible, and that's pretty amazing.
Well, like I said, they gave me the honor when Malcolm passed to write his obituary for the main newspaper here in Costa Rica. And to me, it's a huge honor. And we're looking forward to having them in Costa Rica. And I'm dead serious, Dee. Whether you're included in their tour or not, it would be our honor to bring you down to at least host the show or be part of the show. Because to me, I got to get you to Costa Rica somehow, some way.
We'll figure it out. You know my people now. A lot of my people apparently go back to my manager of Twisted Sister. You know him, Mark Puma.
Yeah.
So listen, I've got to go to my next interview. Any last question I can answer before
yes,
I go?
Last question to wrap it up. I always close the interview with two things. If you can send a message an inspirational message to the fans in Costa Rica, I'd appreciate it. And if you could just do huevos, could I say it one more time? I'll be happy.
Look, that's all I can say is that what's going on today is a challenge like we've never experienced before. Everything else, it suddenly puts our lives and our world in perspective. We're humbled by this small bug that has just brought everybody to their knees. But we will beat this. We always win. We always survive. And for me, it's the strength of rock and roll, the strength of metal that carries me through. It really does. I can't get out there and rock. I can't get out there and go to concerts, but I can listen to music, and I can, in my head, I am on stage and I'm screaming for all of you. So one day we will join together and we will all sing Huevos con siete. No, huevos con siete. Huevos con siete. Y lemon. Adios.
Brother, peace. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege. You have made this huge metal fan very happy. You're an icon. You're a legend. Keep rocking. Keep strong. And we'll see you in Costa Rica soon. And I'll have some Costa Rican coffee for you.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a coffee junkie. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Brother.